Welcome back to the Burstimo Music Marketing Podcast. Today we are discussing what as an artist do you need to do before a release. And Maddie's done a video in depth in this, but there are some aspects that weren't covered and we'd like to just go through in a bit more detail in this podcast. So where should an artist start to start releasing music?
I mean, before anything else, you sort of need to create a timeline, I think, because there's no point spending a lot of money on the creation of the track if you are just going to drop it the next day. So we suggest a lead time of at least 4 weeks.
Yeah.
If you have longer, definitely give it a go. But you don't want it to be so long that you're promoting pre-release for so long and just annoying your audience. So that's why we would say about 4 weeks. So you have 4 weeks before release, the track is dropped, and then you have 4 weeks after to push out those live links. Before doing anything else, though, you need to get yourself a distributor.
Yeah. I mean, a distributor, if you don't know, is someone who will just get your music onto all platforms. Traditionally, they'll get your music into stores. Now they will get your music onto Spotify, Deezer, Apple Music, and like Instagram stories so people can use your music on Instagram stories. Just get all your music in the right places.
The ones that we do suggest are CD Baby and DistroKid, and the reason we suggest them is because they work best with Spotify. They were part of Spotify's preferred distributors alongside the Orchard, but the Orchard are harder to work with. They're owned by Sony, and you have to basically submit to them, but they don't take all music, the same as AWOL, but DistroKid and CD Baby take everything. You pay a small fee and then they can distribute it to every platform. But the reason they're so good is they get your track on Spotify for Artists prior to release date, and that is so important because you need to submit to Spotify via Spotify for Artists. This is what Alex does daily for our artists, and that form can be the make or break. It can be the thing that gets you placed on one of the biggest Spotify playlists and change everything.
Yeah, I mean, you need to get your distributor to get the music uploaded to Spotify at least 4 weeks before the release, and that's why picking the right distributor is so important. The DistroKid and CD Baby, they're killing it at the moment, and they have the features and the customer support available to get it onto Spotify for Artists. Once it's uploaded, you do get an email from Spotify saying your music is set for release. And then that will allow you to go on to music and if you click upcoming, that's where you will find the submission form. Sometimes it's on the dashboard on the homepage. If it's not, go to music and then upcoming. And then you can submit your track to the editors. Here, it's like a form. It's everything that you know about your music. We say click as many as you possibly can. Click as many options that apply to your music, because that is, the more curators it goes out to, the more options you select. So it asks things like the mood of the track, what kind of track it is, your religion, the language of the track, the instruments used. And then finally, you have an opportunity at the end to do a pitch. And the pitch will ask you to describe the track and also kind of a little bit about how it's going to be promoted. And Maddie, for our clients, you write the pitches.
The pitch for us is written in the exact same way that you would pitch to the media. It's not saying, I grew up writing music, my dad inspired me, because they just don't care. They have so many submissions coming through. They want something that's going to spark their interest. So it needs to be stuff like who you've supported in the past, any major producers you work with, any artists you've collaborated with, any blogs you've been featured on, any radio you've been played on, anything that is a standout name that adds credibility. Also, having an angle can be quite strong. So Alex mentioned your religion, your sexuality, anything like that can help, because there are playlists specifically for those things. There are playlists for really small niche kind of music, so make sure you include things like that. Do research Spotify playlists and see if there are any fitting to you, because there's loads that we've discovered that we didn't even know existed.
And location is a big thing. Like, for example, if you're from Ireland, you can get yourself on the Breath of Fresh Air playlist as well. If you're from Scotland, they've got, I think it's This Is Scotland. So lots of different playlists that you can be on. So it's underutilized as a form and as a feature. Not many people know about it. It is in beta, but it is given a level playing field to artists to be able to get on those official playlists. So get on them.
Yeah, and the earlier you do it, the better, because you're giving them the time. Playlists like New Music Friday are actually put together a week before. So the Friday before, they'll actually make the whole New Music Friday playlist before it goes live. So if you're not putting it on Spotify for Artists until 2 days before, you're never going to get onto those playlists. And that's why you need to work with distributors that are uploading it as soon as possible. You can communicate with them really easily. And I think that also comes into play with getting a pre-save link. Some distributors provide it for you. They actually have it within the package that you pay for. Some don't, so you might have to use something like show.co, but you get charged for that. So make sure you ask your distributor if they can offer you a pre-save link, because it can help you massively.
And all the pre-save link is, it's not native to Spotify. A lot of people think it's a feature of Spotify. It's not. It's a feature of your distributor. So it is a platform that will allow you to take control of that user's account that wants to pre-save. As soon as the track is out, you have the authorization to add and save the track to the user's playlist, which gets you more saves and it helps the algorithm. So really, when you're asking people to pre-save and you're an emerging artist, you're kind of asking for a favor from them. There's not really much of a benefit, because they know if they follow you on social media that they're going to see that the track is out anyway and stream it. You're asking for a favor from your audience on that one.
And because you're asking for a favor, you need to give something in return. And that's why with pre-saves, and also trying to get followers on Spotify, because that helps the algorithm as well. Because if you get pre-saves, if you get followers on your Spotify, you're immediately going to be on their algorithmic playlists like Release Radar and the Discover Weekly ones. So to get those things, to get followers, to get pre-saves, you need to give them something. So running a competition can really help. We always suggest saying something like win tickets to a gig, win merch. So if you run a post on socials saying, if you screenshot proof of following me or pre-saving my track, then you could potentially win my latest t-shirt that we've released. That can be really beneficial, because it gives something to them in return, but it also means that you get the things that you need to get onto those big playlists.
Yeah. We think like artwork and imagery is really important as well. Like, how many clients do we, or potential clients do we have contacting us, and we just see that their imagery, like the music is good, but the image isn't there for an artist? Like, what do you recommend?
Especially with digital streaming now, the artwork is in the corner, and obviously it can take up quite a large percent of your screen, especially on a phone. It's huge, and if it doesn't look like the style it's meant to be, so say you're a really heavy rock artist and it just looks really kind of pink and flowery and things, this doesn't fit the style. So if someone's a fan of heavy rock and they see that, they're gonna swipe, they're gonna change it. They don't want to listen to that sort of thing. So your artwork and your imagery, so your press shots, need to represent you as an artist, and they need to be something that will persuade someone to listen. And that sounds a lot easier said than done.
We see a lot of artists where their imagery is literally like toilet selfies and graduation pictures, and it just makes no sense. Don't just upload those to Spotify. You need to have some professional photos. Yeah,
I think the press shots that you have alongside your release need to fit a certain theme. So we always suggest getting a bulk lot of photos done. So once you get your artwork made, you know what sort of theme you're going for. So you go and spend a day with a photographer, and you can change your outfit in the day. You can go to different locations, but the theme should sort of be the same, because this release needs to all kind of fit into one overall package. But the imagery is really, really important, because if you mess up that artwork, it could mean that you don't get the streams, you don't get the attention that the track actually deserves, because people take a look at that and they just won't stream it.
And that does tie well in with your social media presence and being able to get people to stream your track, because you can build your audience on social media even if you only got a few tracks out, and you want people to be able to know that you've got a new track out. So just make sure your images are right, and you can do all kinds of things on your social media. You can create countdown posts and let people know you've got a track coming out in 7 days, 3 days. You can do teasers of the track, you can do lyric videos, things that really just engage your audience and kind of create anticipation for that track coming out. So when it drops, it feels like a special release. It's not just another release. And your existing audience will go and stream the track.
You can also start running ads on it before release. So especially with a pre-save, if you create a short promo video for a pre-save link and then you start running it as an ad, you could find that you're not just getting pre-saves from your existing audience, but you're getting it from kind of a potential audience as well. So the best way to do this is to make it quite niche. We always suggest doing something like for fans of. So if you sound like Imagine Dragons, you can run that ad against people that are following Imagine Dragons and start the video with for fans of Imagine Dragons, and then they're likely to click because that's the kind of music they enjoy.
Yeah, and don't forget that retargeting, when you're running those ads, that is like the first top of the funnel thing. And then when you've captured that Imagine Dragons fans attention and they've watched like half the video, retarget everyone who watched half of that video, and with your streaming link, because you're not going to just come up on someone's timeline and they're going to want to listen to your music. You've really got to nurture them and persuade them. And if you think about it, if a new TV brand just popped up onto your Instagram as an ad, you wouldn't just go purchase it because you need a new TV. You would research the brand. You'd need to know a little bit more about it, the story behind it. And it's the same with music. People don't just give up 3 minutes of their time that easily.
That also is the same for kind of speaking with the press. You need to give them like a lot of time. You need to persuade them to give up their time to listen. So a lot of these, especially major blogs and major radio stations, they get bombarded with emails. They get sent the worst press releases. They get sent some really bang average music that they do not want to listen to. So that's why you need to write a press release that's really going to draw them in. If you don't know what a press release is basically the pitch to the media. So it has a massive headline, it has images, so the artwork and a press shot, it has information about the release, what you've done before the release, what you're doing after the release, just sort of like your bio, but specifically about this release. And the main thing about the press release is it needs to not go on and tell them things that they don't want to hear. It needs to have that credibility, so previous press, previous radio support, and it needs to have an angle. The angles that we always find work best are the major names. So we worked with an artist recently that we got really good media attention around, and the angle was that they'd been endorsed by Fickle Friends. Fickle Friends are a large indie band in the UK, but they just tweeted about the band we were working with, so we angled it like that, and it worked massively for the media. There's also angles like your sexuality, your religion, where you're from, anything like that. You've
done a full video on YouTube, which goes into so much detail on how to write the perfect press release and get coverage. And we know that a lot of people have used that video already to get the dream press. So we'll link that in all the descriptions that this podcast goes out on.
But once you've written that press release, you actually need to pitch to blogs and radio. You should do this pre-release. We know a lot of PR companies that actually will take a track a week before release or even once it's been released and try and pitch it to the media. We never do that. We do everything pre-release. We've always found that that's more successful, because if you're working 4 weeks before a release and you're sending major blogs and major radio a track, they need the time to listen. They need the time to work out if they want to feature it and then write the feature. And you want to get some press in the run-up to the release, but you also want press to run on release day. So it needs to be done prior to release as well.
Cool. I think that's everything.
Yeah,
so
I think that's everything you should be doing pre-release. We're going to do another podcast, or if you're watching on YouTube, another video where we're going to talk about what you do on release day and straight away after release. So make sure to check that one out. If you've enjoyed this podcast, make sure you leave us a review, and make sure you can give us all the feedback that you want to on Instagram at Burstimo. And we'll be back soon with another one.